Oh, and welcome to Save Your Sanity, Help for Toxic Relationships. I'm Dr. Roberta Shaler, and happy Valentine's Day. I'm glad that you're spending a part of it with me so that we can talk about something that could happen today and happens many other times in the year. And that is beware the love bombing, as it happens to be Valentine's Day today. Beware the Valentine's Day love bombing because it's going to happen. Now, of course, there are some people who like to get their power by ignoring you on a special day. We all know that hijackals, those relentlessly difficult people, are in search of power over you. So that usually means that they ruin their special days, they ruin celebrations of success, they ruin holidays. However, many of them decide that this is the day to put on a lavish show of love bombing. And that can happen anytime during the year because they love bomb you because they want something from you. They're afraid that they're going to lose you in the moment, or they simply want to keep you hooked. So they will go through some love bombing. So I thought this was a very good day to be talking about that because love bombing is the action or the practice of really lavishing attention on someone and giving them attention, giving them affection because you want to influence them or manipulate the other person. So they love bomb. They'll give you a good story to tell about how wonderful the day was. And then they will treat you poorly and they'll say, but remember Valentine's Day or remember such and such occasion. When they want you to go back, go, oh, yes, that was so wonderful, and somehow have amnesia about what went on 15 minutes ago. And in the love bombing, it's a manipulation to kind of rope you into a deeper relationship. And you know how that goes when you're dating a hijackal. They're all in a hurry. They are always in a hurry. Oh, I hardly know you, but I know I love you and want to be with you forever. Or I know this sounds silly, but I think we should get married. And if they don't want to go that far, they'll say, oh, let's move in together. It's too far to drive to see each other. Or let's have a baby. You know, anything to get over this time of having to butter you up in order to get what they want. And I know that sounds harsh, but it actually is what happens. They are giving you all of these things to get you in an emotional state to say yes to them. And also, while they're doing that, they're also working very hard at finding your vulnerabilities, making you feel safe to let down your guard, tell them anything that they will use as ammunition later. Have you had that experience? Well, many people have had that experience. And so when we are thinking about love bombing, I want to talk to you about some aspects of love bombing, get you to think about what's happened in your life, and then to look at how do you respond to all that. And, I have many opportunities for people to ask me questions and work with me. So it's important for you to know where to find me. So you will find me at forrelationshiphelp.com. And if you like this program and would like to support it, you can do that at patreon.com/saveyoursanity. Patreon.com/saveyoursanity. And if you'd like to work with me directly, you can come on over to beaclient.com. And I'll tell you about my membership program later. So, love bombing. Bombarding life on life. Yes, that would be wonderful if they could, but the life that they offer you is not the best. So bombarding love on you and is part of emotional abuse and coercive control. I will pluck your strings, I will make the music, you follow along. And that is the idea of I will get you under my spell, and then I will abuse and violate you in whatever way I feel, which mostly is taking control and having power over you. So Affection today, abuse tomorrow. Sad, right? Affection today, abuse tomorrow. And it's gaslighting. Now, I've recently done a members only video on gaslighting and going into it a lot more deeply than I do on my videos that exist on YouTube. So if at any time you want to be able to see those videos, you can become a member. If you're on YouTube, you can become a YouTube member for only $4.99 a month. And then you will be able to participate in those particular video series. And if you would like to be closer than that, you can come to joinintoday.com to my emerging empowered community, where I work directly with people twice a month, and so many wonderful opportunities to connect with other people who are going through similar things. So gaslighting was what I did the YouTube video on this last week, the one for members only, exclusive to members. And I was pointing out there that gaslighting is emotional abuse, of course, but love bombing also is emotional abuse, because it is endeavoring to give you a false sense of love, a false sense of belonging, a false sense of what the future will look like, and you're stepping into an abusive cycle. Very important to notice. So where are the big red flags? We always have to be aware. Where are they? And you have to whip off those rose-colored glasses in order to not miss the red flags. So when we look at this, one of the things is that the relationship moves too fast. And one of the ways that they make that relationship move too fast, as I said, is by love bombing. I will give you all this attention. I will give you all my time. I will give you a short period of time to believe me. Now, sometimes that short period of time can be a year. Not usually, but it can be, because they are lazy. They are emotionally lazy. So once they start doing the work, they want to see the fruits of their labor. And on the other side, if they already have you in a relationship and they've done the work, they will come back around and love bomb you because, as business people say, it's easier to sell to an earlier customer than it is to acquire a new customer. So rather than go through all that they did with you again, they simply love bomb you to say, oh, remember when? Let's do that again. And get into that cycle that is abusive, and getting into a position where the hijackal believes that they can use coercive control tactics on you. They're grooming you to do that in the love bombing segment of how they treat you. I know there's probably a part of you that's going, oh no, I didn't fall for that, did I? Well, of course, it's easy to. It's what you've been longing for, waiting for, wanting, and it looks like that's what it is. So it's so disappointing to find that it isn't. So you hold out saying, oh no, it'll be like that. He or she promised. I trust them. They're going through a difficult time right now. Whatever excuses you would create for them. And then you would allow them to continue with abusive situations. And you would be holding on to the past when they promised that they'd always be there for you. Is that familiar? Well, we want to be connected. It's only human to want to be connected, because we knew long, long time ago that in order to survive, we had to be connected, that we couldn't make it in this world on our own. So allow yourself the latitude to say, I didn't choose this. I didn't know what I was choosing. I believed it. So don't spend any time making yourself wrong or beating yourself up about it. Just say, this is the day that I see the pivot point when I'm no longer going to believe what I want to believe, and I'm going to see what is actually there to see. And that's a real moment of awakening. Who likes to say that they're being emotionally abused? Nobody wants to say, "Oh, well, I'm happily being emotionally abused." Nobody is happy being emotionally abused. But the moment, that pivot moment, is to realize it is emotional abuse, and love bombing is the start of it. So they may give you extravagant gifts or gestures. Now, they always have strings attached. I come from a family, I'm an only child of 2 hijackals. Woohoo! Right? Their gifts came with strings attached. I remember one time when my mother gave me a watch. I think I was 11 or 12 for Christmas. A nice watch. And every day, "Where's your watch? Why aren't you wearing your watch? Are you taking good care of your watch?" It wasn't a gift at all. It was a barter so that she could badger me all the time. And that's the way hijackals are. "Well, why are you talking to me like that? I've done so many wonderful things for you." "Really? You did 2 wonderful things and 200 abusive things, and now you wanna only talk about the 2 good things?" That's what they do. That's the pattern. Remember, it's all about them. So if they went out of their way to do something for you, you're supposed to shower affection on them forever. They don't see it as a day-to-day relationship. They see it as, what can I get and what can I win? I know, distressing, ugly, nasty, hard to see. You feel betrayed. You feel violated. You feel as though you got sucked in, and you did. Because it's natural to want love. It's natural to want to belong. It's natural to want to do life together. So they give you gifts, they give you time, they take you on trips, they do something that would be extravagant to you, whatever your lifestyle is, and then they become jealous. "Where are you? Why is it taking so long? You're 10 minutes late home from work. What are you doing? You don't answer your phone?" They blow it up. "You don't answer their texts?" They blow it up. Because they are jealous. Jealous of your time, jealous of your attention, and very, very insecure about actually feeling that they can relax because you love them. They don't believe that. They just want more and more and more, and they want more and more and more proof. So you feel in the beginning like, "Oh, isn't that lovely? He or she calls me 5 times a day. Ah, they love me so much." But when it comes up to 60 times a day, that's not love. That's abuse. That's surveillance. That's demand. That is not love. Do you remember that when you felt, "Oh, look, they want to talk to me. Isn't it wonderful? They're really interested in what I'm doing now, how I'm feeling now." No, basically what they're saying is, "You should only be thinking and feeling about me, and I'll make darn good and sure that you are. And if you're not, I want to know why not." And that's all part of the love bombing thing. And they want to take over your life. They simply want to take over your life. We have to be very careful with that because in that regard, they will paint these wonderful pictures. "Oh, let's move to another city far, far away. In fact, let's move off the grid. It's so romantic, and let's move into a new lifestyle." Now, in the hijackal's mind, as they're saying all those love bombing things about this wonderful life you're going to create, in their life, they're going, "How can I isolate my partner so they're 100% dependent on me? And then when I abuse them, they have no one to turn to." They want to isolate you physically and emotionally. That's hard to let sink in, isn't it? But that's what they want to do. They paint this wonderful picture of how it will be. We'll be together forever, and we'll be at one with nature and far, far away from everything. With a hijackal, if you buy into that, you will not believe how quickly your car is decommissioned. So you can't go anywhere. You become a hostage. Meanwhile, thinking that you're buying into this wonderful vision of a life of eternal bliss. And that's the picture they painted for you. Naturally, you want that, and they know that. So therefore, they are love bombing you. And they want to remove you also from any support you might have so that you have to turn to them. What does that create? Trauma bonding. If they isolate you and they hurt you, the only person who's there to comfort you is your abuser. So we get into that situation where this is the person that hurt me, but this is the person I go to for comfort. And that gets very confusing emotionally. And it creates this trauma bond that is so unhealthy. Now, the good news is that you can release yourself from the trauma bond. You can release yourself from the hijackal. You can release yourself from buying into the love bombing. All of those things are quite possible. So that's good news. But as you're listening to the ideas of love bombing, what you long for, what you want, that one unique human who loves you beyond all others, that one person that you can rely on, that you can trust, that will be honest with you, that will respect you, where there will be my favorites, equality, mutuality, reciprocity, where you will be bonded to each other in the best ways and go off into the sunset and happily ever after. We're taught to want that right from the nursery stories that we listen to, the movies that we watch as children. So we understand that, and the people who provide those movies or TV shows or books understand that too. And it's normal and natural to want to belong. I mean, where would you be if you were an isolate and you were a baby? You wouldn't last many minutes. You know that. So you want to bond with people. And if you had a hijackal parent, okay, then. Love bombing is, like I've said in another whole episode, love bombing is giving you a few shreds of love, a few breadcrumbs, if you will. And you think, because it's all you've ever known, you think that's a full meal. So you brighten up and you're happy with just meager amounts of attention or love that's positive because you haven't had it and you long for it. And that's normal and natural. So again, don't beat yourself up about it. It was all organic. It was all happening. But now you're awake. Now you see it. Now you step back and observe it. Then you look at your history. How many times has this happened? And now you're wise to these wiles of hijackals. You're not going to be taken in by them again. And yes, you might be, but then you'll quickly remember, I don't have to be. And eventually, it will make it impossible for you to believe a hijackal, which is a really good thing. Much as sometimes it leaves you feeling totally alone, totally separate, scared when you leave a hijackal, because at least I had that. But it's not good to have. It isn't healthy. It's a poor example for your children. And the message you're giving to yourself is you don't matter. And that's certainly not healthy because you do matter. You absolutely do matter. So what happens to you when you get love bombed? Generally, and I mean very generally because everybody's different, but when you're love bombed, you get invested. You buy into the dream. You buy into the vision. You relax. I'm finally safe. I finally found my person. So you become invested because you think it's going to be reciprocal. So you become very interested in them and you do things for them and they do things for you. And then slowly they do less and less and demand more and more of you. That's the system. So you get invested and then you start giving the hijackal the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they're busy. Oh, they're stressed. Oh, they had a poor childhood. Oh, this is just a phase they're going through. And then you get into that place of actually enabling them. And my definition of enabling, you've probably heard before if you've been listening for a while. Enabling is when you usually or frequently step in to fix or solve or justify or rationalize or make the poor choices, the consequences go away for the poor choices of another person. Then you become part of the problem when you're enabling. And I've done many podcasts on that. And if that's you and you hear yourself in that situation, do come over and join me at the Emerging Empowered Community, where everybody is working on different aspects of the hijackal relationship, leaving it, discovering it, recognizing what's going on, going through the court process, recognizing that you had a hijackal parent or that you have a hijackal adult child. All of that is taken care of over there for a small monthly fee. Great discussions, totally off social media. Come on over to joinintoday.com if that interests you, because you don't want to enable anybody. And when you get into an enabling relationship where you're doing the enabling, you are also doing the losing. You are giving yourself away for no gain. And love bombing is set up to entrance you again, rope you in, pull you in. Oh no, I'm sorry for everything I've ever done. And you, oh, finally a breakthrough. No, it's love bombing. I was afraid you were getting beyond my reach, and so I had to do something to get you back. I could not risk that. I could not risk my investment in all that I've done to have you pandering to my ego and allowing me to abuse you. So I will love bomb for a day, a week, maybe a whole month till they feel it's secure again. Everything is fine. And they start to let go of that and behave any old way they want. And then the cycle goes around and around again. A real hallmark of hijackal love bombing is that you feel it's too good to be true. You've met this person. I can't believe it. I waited all my life for this person. I didn't think this kind of love existed outside of the movies. Ah, it's so wonderful. Well, you know the old saying, if it's too good to be true, it likely is. Well, in the case of hijackals and love bombing, it surely is. It is too good to be true because it's never going to come around again except when they're fearful of losing you. So it's not real. Hijackals don't have much love to give, but they sure do have a lot of uses for you. And I know that's harsh, but it's also true. You don't want to feel used. But when you actually allow yourself to say, I feel used, you start reclaiming your life, start reclaiming your power. And you can also recognize this pattern is when things start to get rough and you start to think, I don't like this. It's like hijackal radar goes off and the love bombing starts. So always notice if it went from total mess, totally abusive, to something too good to be true. It is too good to be true. It's momentary. It's clutching at straws on the part of the hijackal. So important to recognize. And so when you enable them, they start to count on you enabling them. Oh, it's all right. She or he would do anything for me. Yeah, this happened before. Don't worry. They love me so much that they'll put up with it. And actually, I'm so wonderful that it would be their loss. Have you had those feelings? Well, on this Valentine's Day, which is such a common day for people to be love bombed, I just wanted to use this particular Valentine's Day to say, watch for the love bombing. Watch for that willingness to manipulate you, that willingness to um, pull you into a deeper relationship, only for a little while, till they just feel they got your back. And recognize love bombing as when they get into that lavishing attention and affection on you, and your radar goes up and say, why are you manipulating me? What is it you want at this point? Then you know you're onto something, and you're on to a healthier life. So I hope that's helpful. Be your own Valentine. Love yourself enough to not put up with coercive control. Love yourself enough to see and say no to emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse. Refuse to be abused. And until we talk again, treat yourself very well as your own Valentine, because you're precious and you matter. Talk soon. Hello. Look at all these. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see what people have been saying. Mama Cutie, I haven't seen you post before. Hello. Thanks for the reminder. Don't worry, I'm all aware because of you. Good. Glad to know that. Anicia. Why a narcissistic message on Valentine's Day, then deleted it? Are you speaking about someone who did that to you? Let me know, and I'll see your next post. Joan says, I got love bombed for Valentine's Day, and when I said I don't get it, he has stopped talking to me. See, it's magic, Joan. When you see it and you decide you won't have it in your life anymore, they quickly have to move on to someone else, because once they've been truly seen, they'll fight for a little bit, but after that, they're emotionally lazy. They'll go find somebody else. John says, does love bombing help set up trauma bonds? Well, I think I answered that, and the answer is certainly a big yes, because, again, they're the ones who want you on their side, and so they're very, very nice to you, and then when they treat you badly and you're very, very upset, then often they're the ones who want to comfort you. But they don't comfort you in any meaningful way. They say things like, well, you see, you really needed that said to you. And they call that comforting. So yes, it definitely does. Joan says, I got flowers and candy and now he's not talking to me. Well, thanks for the flowers and the candy and the silence. Bye-bye. You know, again, when you see the patterns, it's just more proof that you made the right decision to not have anything to do with them, isn't it? They always show up. They can't help but show you their true colors, but sometimes it takes a while to believe that. So enjoy the flowers and candy. Thank you, Isabel. I'm glad you find my explanations clear. She says, really shocking to realize the person you thought was so loving, caring, warm, and generous was all a lie. I know, it's so disappointing, isn't it? And then you start sometimes saying to yourself, well, what's wrong with me? Why did I want to believe that? Nothing was wrong with you. It's normal and natural to want to believe that. But you just can't believe it from some people. And that's what you need to learn about is, how do I determine which of the people I can trust and which of the people I can't? And that's not easy. It really isn't. Yes, radical acceptance is helpful in healing. It is. In fact, I don't believe in unconditional love. I've written articles about that. I think it's a standard of perfection to make other people feel inferior. But I really believe in unconditional acceptance. When somebody shows you who they are, unconditionally accept that. That's true. That's who they are. I'm not going to talk myself out of it or talk myself into thinking, oh, the poor dear. No, I'm going to take off my rose colored glasses and see it for what it is and say, no, thank you. You know, when you accept something, you're simply saying the other person has the right to behave in any way they want, and I have the right to choose how much distance there is between me and that person. That's a great choice to make. It really is. John says, Happy Valentine's Day. Not being in a relationship with a hijackal means I'm not Cupid. However, I am alone. Yes. Well, for many people who have gotten out of relationships with hijackals, they are delightfully alone rather than have what they had before. And even though it may feel a little poorly on that day, what you can do is go out and make somebody else's Valentine's Day, somebody who maybe is a little lonely or whatever. You can still have Valentine's Day. And John says they love bomb you with what they mirror you with. That's right. That's exactly right. Terry, thank you for helping us. I've been in an on and off again relationship 4 months now, and I can never tell if she's being honest or manipulating me. How do I tell if she's being honest? By her actions. It's, I say all the time, and you've probably heard it, ABB is the most important thing you can remember. Always believe behavior. When someone tells you that this is the truth, then watch to see if they behave it. And if they don't, it's empty. So always believe behavior. And I know you don't want to because it means you may have to take action and you may be hurt and you may be sad, but you're worth stepping away from abuse, right? You're always worth that. Yes, Isabel, they are master manipulators. And then John says, then they shame you with the love bombing. They do. So, yes, you're writing to one another, affirming what I just said, which is great. So, all right, Isabel says, suggestions for healing from the trauma bond. Well, of course, first of all, make sure that you're well away from the person. And that's not an easy bit. That can be tricky and it can be a bit 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but just know that's the process. And then use information. Remind yourself of situations where there actually was this push me, pull me relationship. I'll push you away and then I'll pull you towards me. And then you get dependent on that and they've excluded you from other people. So what do? Well, first of all, as I say, make sure you're securely away. Do not accept phone calls. Make sure that if you have children or you're going through a divorce process or whatever, only emails and texts. There's 2 reasons for that. First of all, you can decide to respond or not respond. But secondarily, that's all good evidence for your divorce. So you want to keep that. Once you're well away, maybe you're divorced, maybe things are settling down, and you feel that pull like, oh, I miss that person so much. I want them right now. I really want to call them. And then you start telling yourself stories like, well, I wonder if they're okay. I haven't heard from them for so long. Well, maybe it's their birthday. Well, isn't it just the civil thing to do to reach out on their birthday? No, it isn't. The civil thing to do is to stay right where you are without any contact with them because they're not civil. So if it were not a hijackal, of course, it's a hijackal. No, don't do it. So Isabel said, I know education is the key. It truly, truly is. And it's hard to have to remind yourself that it was all a lie, that it looked so wonderful, it looked so promising, it seemed to have everything you ever wanted, and slowly that all gets chipped away and you're left with a skeleton that has absolutely no nutrition in it for you. And you realize that you've been taking these little love crumbs and thinking that they were a full meal deal, as the Dairy Queen used to say. And you fooled yourself into thinking that these little bits will sustain you. They will keep you alive. They will keep love alive. They won't. They're very disrespectful. They're demeaning. That's not okay. That's not going to make a healthy relationship at all. Terry said, I'm pretty sure she broke up with me to clear the schedule for someone new, but she keeps texting but avoiding actual contact. Well, you know that Tukum do that too. So let her come to you. You know, if she wants to talk to you, then she can do something different. But if she's texting you all the time, it's the contents of the text that would inform me as to how to help you with that. Then, if you're not sure that you're broken up, you better clear that up. But many times it can be situational. As you say, she may have broken up with you because she thought she would get a better deal somewhere else for Valentine's Day. And then she'll come back to you because she's lonely and she has no one to adore her. And that will be a pattern that will follow. But if you don't want to have trauma bonds with this person, clarify that you're broken up by saying, I recognize that we're finished and there is really no need to contact me further. And then stop. Unless, of course, you have children together, which then really means only emails and texts. Okay, hi, Linda. Nice to see you here. I haven't seen you post. Isabel says, never believe a hijackal. Well, that's a pretty good rule. And then if you find out you're wrong, you can change it. But hijackals are very deceptive. They'll lie to you about anything to get what they want or to get what they believe they should have. It's not reasonable what they want or what they think they should have, but they will do it. Isabel says, pathological liars. No, actually, there are many kinds of liars. They're not pathological because they don't lie all the time, but they lie whenever they want something or to manipulate something. Absolutely, for sure. Terry said, I tried to leave several times, but she keeps trying to pull me back in. Then next morning, it's texts of doubt and insecurity. Well, if you keep playing the game, she'll keep doing it. So maybe you could be the one who just stops the communication, because that's a difficult call. But how many times do you want to be rewounded? Are you buying into hope, Terry? Are you buying into hope that next time it'll be different? That's an important question to ask yourself, isn't it? You know, because what you're writing is saying she keeps doing these things. But if you respond by allowing her to pull you back in, or then she does what she wants in an evening and then the next day tries to engage you. No, you're worth more than that. Just look at it clearly. See if it's a game. And if it is, stop playing. Absolutely stop playing. Yep, you're right, Terry. It's probably time to move on. It'll only get worse if it's a hijackal. So sad to have to say that, but it will only get worse. And yes, that's why the whole love bombing thing works, is because it seems so hopeful. It seems like a new direction. It seems like a new possibility, but it isn't. It's just a way to play you. And Isabel said that. There you go. It's always believe behavior. When you can write those things, Terry, to say then she does this and she does that, you know her behavior patterns, you know her cycles. And when you see them and they're destructive and you see that they're damaging and you see that they're not real love available, that's a really good time to decide to pick yourself up and go in a new direction. Alex says, am I late? Yes, Alex, when you wrote that, you were 28 minutes late. But the good news is that you're never late because you can always watch it again. Now, who's this? Alex says, I'm 34 and have Asperger's syndrome. I have a trauma bond that has been tough to break. Well, the fact is, trauma bonds are always tough to break for everybody. But it depends what that trauma bond is. You know, sometimes we're trauma bonded to our parents. I know. It just seems like so shouldn't happen, can't happen, so unbelievable. But our parents can be our abusers too. And I've had so many clients who, when we start to work together, tell me, oh, I had a great childhood, this, that, and the other. And then we start diving into it. And they're so horrified by what really happened as compared with what they had in their head. But that is the beginning of a therapeutic breakthrough. When you really realize that the picture that you painted in order to keep yourself feeling good and safe, from an adult point of view, you look back on it and you realize, oh my, that wasn't what was happening. It really wasn't. So it's very difficult, Alex. If you want to talk, oh, here we go. You said something more. I have a paternal grandmother who threatens to isolate me from society if I try to stand up to her. I tend to stim a lot because I have a hard time expressing my feelings for fear of offending people. Well, you're 34 years old and your paternal grandmother is threatening you, threatening to isolate you. That's abuse. And, you know, you can call someone and say, here's what's happening to me. You can call a shelter. You can call Child Protective Services and get advice. Not that you're a child, but you can get advice. You can reach out. You can reach out to me. That's why I have that one-time new client 1 hour opportunity at beaclient.com. Only $97 for an hour to get your questions answered. But, you know, are you concerned about the stimming so that you think that immobilizes you some, or it is soothing enough to bring you down to a place where you're no longer afraid of what she's threatening you with? You know, it is difficult. First of all, you have to know what you're feeling. I hope that you won't ever feel that you can't say to a person that you know what you're feeling, that somehow your feelings are not respected, because that's so important, to be with people who respect your feelings and are respectful of your feelings. So if that helps a little bit, maybe sometime we can talk. And yes, happy Valentine's to you. We went through that at the beginning and we can hear that a whole lot more. So thanks, Alex. What else do we have here? Terry says, no children together. Appreciate the advice. You're welcome. John says they're addicted to attention. Oh, are they? For sure they are. They do horrible things, then want you to tell them how great they are. Yeah, it's all about me.com. That's the Hijackal motto. You know, there is actually somebody owns that domain, so don't bother putting it in. But, you know, that's the way Hijackals are. It's what I want. It's what I need. It's what I think. It's what I want to do. It's my feelings that matter. Yours don't. I will tell you that you are not right about what you said. You know, all the things that go into gaslighting. As I said before, think about the $4.99 a month membership on YouTube, because that's the least expensive thing that I offer, where I'm actually engaging with people, aside from here. Of course, free is great, right? But there you get the members only content, and you can do that when you're on Facebook, when you're on YouTube. My YouTube channel is for relationship help, just like my URL. Yes, indeed, John, they hold on to get their supply. That's what they want. And you are their supply. Oh, Isabel says she was trauma bonded to her mother. That is very difficult, because you went through the stages of growth of your brain, and the things that happened before we're 5 or 6 or 7, when we get the parietal and prefrontal lobes working on our behalf, a little more developed, the things that went in before that color us so much. They color our view of the world, our view of ourselves, our sense of safety in the world. And so it's really important to understand that if you were trauma bonded to your mother, again, the most basic kind of, she's who you turn to for love, and she's the one who hurts you. And that trauma bond is very real. Terry says, thanks, I'll stop contacting her. That's what I needed to hear. Yes, this will be a very happy Valentine's Day for you if you make that decision. John says, yes, sometimes we're trauma bonded to the flying monkeys. For those of you who may not know what flying monkeys are, these are the people that are loyal to the hijackals and will do their bidding. And so the flying monkeys will agree with that person's story, even if they know the hijackal story is not right. They will agree with them because they're afraid of the hijackal. And remember this, hijackals demand loyalty, but they seldom give it. So if you have been surrounding a hijackal, I had this today. I was talking with a client who came out of the fog, realized that the mother was a hijackal. And so she talked to her sister about it. Sister says, well, yes, that's true. And then steps in to defend the mother, denying the fact that she just agreed that the abuse was happening. The flying monkey for mom in that case. I'm going to deny all of that, even though I've said that I know my mother is nasty. I'm going to not deny your right to say that she's nasty. I'm going to deny that I even said that she's nasty, because she is bonded to the mother in loyalty, hoping that loyalty to her mother will buy her attention and affection. And if she joins with her as a flying monkey to make her sister wrong, then her mother's going to reward her with more loyalty. It may or may not happen. I would err on the side of saying it will not happen. Alex says, even with the coronavirus, I feel like I can't be a hermit forever. I depend on my mobile devices as windows to the world. I think you're in very good company with that one, Alex. I think we've all done that. And that's an important consideration. We've all sat with device in hand, pretending that this is my real world, because it's all we had. So I hope that we will have a broader way of communicating with others very soon. Alex says, the stimming I do sometimes triggers that woman to make her idle threats. Last week in the car, she said, cut that out or else you're staying home. I ought to get more strict with you. How much control does she actually think you have of your stimming? That's an important question to ask yourself. Does she understand what's going on? Does she even want to understand? Is she accepting that that is part of who you are, or can be part of who you are under stress? Does she realize that she overloads your senses? Does she care that she overloads your senses? Really important questions, Alex. Yeah, remnant soldier, welcome. The guy I'm doing no contact with, but we live in a boarding house, caught me in the kitchen and gave me some cookies. On this very day. Happy Valentine's Day. Well, that little bit of remnant Canadian just popped out. I heard myself say A. So going no contact and living in the same place is a very difficult combination. Did you accept the cookies? Because the actual appropriate thing to do would be to say no, right? To give an honest behavioral clue that, in fact, we are done. So that's difficult. Sometimes, again, it falls into that, well, why not be nice? Why not be civil? But your actions will always speak so loudly for you. Alex says, there were times I would tell another family member about my grandmother's empty threats, only to be told not to take them seriously. Well, by what you wrote there, Alex, you said they are empty threats, so you know that they're empty threats. But on the other hand, it injures you every time. It creates an injury. So you'd like to be believed, and you'd like someone to be able to empathize with you, that that's difficult, that it is dismissive, that it is discounting you. And hopefully you have people in your family who do that. John says, why don't they feel shame? The actual truth is, and I don't want you to put your compassion hats on, everybody, the actual fact is they are so shamed by whatever's happened to them in their life before that they are super sensitive. Now, they seem like the most insensitive people on the planet, I know, but they do feel shame, and they do everything to repel it. That's why when you say something to them about, do you think you could take out the garbage? They immediately feel shamed. Well, you live here too. You should take out the garbage. They just push it back. They blame shift. So they will not have it because they are so deeply shamed. Not your circus, not your monkeys. You didn't create the shame. So always remember this. You didn't break them. You can't fix them. Got that? You didn't break them, and you can't fix them. Alex said, I visited my mother for the weekend of the Super Bowl. The Thursday before, the Abula threatened to keep me home because of my stimming. You went to visit your mother? Where's your mother in all this? Is she happy to have you with your grandmother? Does she understand what's going on? Does she care? These are very important things. You're giving me lots of pieces of the puzzle for you, Alex. Maybe we'll get to talk sometime. John says, it's amazing how they all talk in the same narrative for decades. Always I hear, where is the evidence? Like I record everything they say or do. I hope you do, because once you feel that you're with a hijackal, I know, John, you've already been divorced, but if you live in a one-party consent state where one party who is part of a conversation is allowed to record the conversation without the consent of the other, then you do want to record everything they say or do, because you need to prove what's happening to you behind closed doors and in your home, because they paint a public picture of perfection, and at home they provide a private place of pain. So I'm glad you said that, John, so I could remind everybody. What is this now? Aurora. My ex-husband attempted to sabotage Valentine's Day. What a surprise, right? With harassing text about child support arrears, including threatening to take me to court. I'd hate to have to take this to a judge. Really? No, you wouldn't. You'd be delighted to take it to a judge. You wouldn't hate to have to do it at all. And go right ahead. I have a lot of proof of what you have done, and all your harassing texts have now been printed out and handed to my attorney. Don't say that to him. That's what I'm suggesting your internal response is. Ah, that's what you did with the cookies, remnant soldier. I grabbed them, whispered thanks, and put them next to his coffee and ran upstairs. Good move. Really good. No engagement. That was perfect. Aurora says, I deflected every manipulation tactic he tried till I gave up. Number 1, I'm not afraid of going to court. 2, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. So, didn't matter to you. So, that's a good thing. So, as you know, I answer questions and respond to your comments until there are no more. And it takes about 20 seconds after you have put one, you hit send in order for me to see it. So at this moment, there are no further comments and there are no further questions. So I invite you to come on over to joinintoday.com, come to my Emerging Empowered community and enjoy time there. That includes 2 Ask Me Anything group calls with me each month, as well as a whole lot of special things only available to Emerging Empowered members. If you'd like to speak to me directly, you can use that one-time opportunity for new clients for a full hour with me for only $97. Go to beaclient.com. And until we speak again, yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. And happy Valentine's Day and stay strong, Isabel says. And that's my message to you too. And to remember, treat yourself very well. Be your own Valentine because you're precious and you matter. I'll look forward to talking with you very soon.